Ja, genau.
Ich habe heute gemerkt, dass ich mich auf diesen Abend unheimlich gefreut habe, weil wir wieder einen ganz besonderen Gast heute haben, nämlich Can Dündar. Andreas Kilb wird ihn gleich vorstellen. Ich möchte mich vorher noch bei unseren Partnern bedanken, bei der Autor Film Lounge, die uns hier aufnimmt. Ich bedanke mich beim Theaterleiter Jürgen Friedrich und seiner Kollegin Frau Hoppe. Ich bedanke mich bei Carsten Kollmorgen und seinem Team vom Sofitel, die uns nachher aufnehmen werden. Ich bedanke mich ganz besonders bei dem wunderbaren Piet Riedmüller, der diese Reihe kuratiert mit einer unglaublich großen Leidenschaft, der mit seinem ganzen Herzblut dranhängt und der das immer wieder auf die Beine stellt. Danke, Piet. Ich bedanke mich auch bei jemandem, der heute gar nicht da ist, Claudius Seidel. Ich glaube, zum ersten Mal ist er heute nicht da, aber er und die Frankfurter Allgemeine Sonntagszeitung begleiten uns von Beginn an, unterstützen uns mit brillanten Ideen und helfen uns, wo man nur helfen kann. Soweit ich weiß, liegen einige Exemplare der Zeitung. Wenn Sie die dann nachher mitnehmen wollen, dann können Sie auch lesen, was er so macht. Leider ist er heute nicht da, aber trotzdem gilt ihm unser Dank. Jetzt freue ich mich auf Andreas Kilb, der nicht nur gleich Can Dündar vorstellt, sondern nachher auch das Gespräch nach dem Film mit ihm führen wird.
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Nach Musikern, Schriftstellern, Künstlern, auch einer Kanzlerin haben wir heute einen Journalisten zu Gast. Und das bedeutet, dass es nicht nur um Kunst gehen wird, auch nicht nur um Filmkunst, sondern um vieles, was weniger schön ist, was sich mit Fragen unseres Lebens, unseres täglichen Lebens und unserer Zukunft beschäftigt, mit Fragen von Politik, von Demokratie, Diktatur, Recht und Unrecht. Und zu all diesen Dingen hat Can Dündar nicht nur was zu sagen, sondern hat sie auch tatsächlich in seinem Leben erlitten. Can Dündar ist in den letzten 2 Jahren zu so etwas wie eine Symbolfigur der Pressefreiheit, der Meinungsfreiheit geworden, in der Türkei, auch hier. Im Mai 2015 hat Can Dündar einen Artikel in seiner Zeitung Cumhuriyet veröffentlicht, der enthüllte, dass der türkische Geheimdienst mit Wissen der türkischen Regierung die islamistischen Milizen in Syrien mit Waffen unterstützt hat. Aufgrund dieses Artikels hat der heutige Staatspräsident Erdogan gegen ihn persönlich Anzeige erstattet und Can Dündar wurde in Haft genommen. Er ist auf einen Spruch des türkischen Verfassungsgerichts hin entlassen worden, ein Spruch, den Erdogan, wie er sofort erklärte, nicht akzeptieren wollte. Nach dem Putschversuch im Jahr 2016 hat Erdogan mit dieser Drohung ernst gemacht und Can Dündar sah sich unter Lebensgefahr, unter Verfolgungsgefahr, sah sich von direkter staatlicher Verfolgung bedroht und hat daraufhin seinen Urlaub, den er in Spanien verbrachte, dazu genutzt, aus der Türkei fernzubleiben. Er ist nach Deutschland gegangen und lebt seitdem hier in Berlin. Er schreibt eine Kolumne für die Wochenzeitung Die Zeit und betreut eine unabhängige Online-Plattform, auf der man nachlesen kann, wie es in der Türkei tatsächlich aussieht. Und er hat hier bei vielerlei Gelegenheit über die Verhältnisse in seinem Heimatland gesprochen. Er hat sich dafür eingesetzt, dass wir die verfolgten Journalisten, Schriftsteller, Künstler dort nicht im Stich lassen, dass unser Land seine Politik gegenüber der Türkei überdenkt. Und er steht mit seiner ganzen Existenz für die Freiheit in der Türkei ein, die Meinungsfreiheit, aber auch die Freiheit jedes Menschen. Please welcome Can Dündar.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Sorry, I can't speak German yet, so I couldn't understand what you said, but I thank you very much for the speech. It's an honor to be here with you. Really, it's a very interesting project. So when I was invited by them, I just want to be in the project. So all of a sudden, I remember this film. So it's a really good opportunity for me to share my feelings with you, but I'm a bit excited because it's something new, it's not politics. So we talked about film and cinema, so I'm not an expert, so I apologize from the beginning. I prepare a short speech, and so I will read it for you. In this special event, I choose Antonioni's movie Passenger for you. I watched the movie for the first time when I was a university student in a movie theater in Ankara, and was truly impressed, very impressed by the film. It was in the 80s, and we were under the impression of the Italian neo-realist cinema. So Federico Fellini, Rossellini, De Sica, Visconti, they mesmerized us. So the camera had moved from the studio to the street for the first time, and instead of literary dialogues, there were improvised conversations, and emotions had taken the place of abstract ideas. So after having watched Blow Up, we also added Antonioni to the list. He shot Passenger after 10 years later, and looking at it now, I'm discovering a few reasons linked to its content and technique that caused the impact that the film had on me at that time, which is still with me. One of these reasons is the idea of a search for a new identity. My generation was questioning the identity which was being imposed on us during the 70s. We wanted to change the world. The West had taken this path before us and discovered the necessity of changing yourself before changing the world. So Antonioni was telling the story of a man in this film that was trying to do this. And unfortunately, the movie was displaying to us how difficult changing yourself is, let alone changing the world. Even if you had a new identity, your old life was haunting you. I'm astonished that today in Germany I'm experiencing the same problematic story that this film made years ago. And even though I'm living here in Germany, I'm still dedicating most of my time to my country. So maybe it is because I am still a passenger that when the Film Academy asked me about a movie that had impressed me, I immediately thought of The Passenger. Now I'll let you watch the movie, but I just want to draw your attention to 3 scenes that I've never forgot throughout my life. So one of the scenes I'd like you to pay attention to is when Jack Nicholson's character is preparing a new passport for himself. Please watch the camera move there carefully, then we can talk about it afterwards. Another unforgettable scene for me is where the young woman in a car is asking Jack Nicholson, "What are you running away from?" And Nicholson asks her to look behind. And it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. Anyway, you'll see it. And lastly, eventually, the legendary final scene. So it's 7-minute long shot, a single take shot, which is regarded as one of the most important finals of the whole cinema history. So cinema in those days wasn't showing, it was making you imagine. So maybe the reason why I loved it so much is because it makes us dream. So today, as a passenger, I still love dreams, and thanks to Antonioni's Passenger. So enjoy the movie. Thank you very much.
Now, Can Dündar, do you recognize the film that you saw 30 years ago? Is it still the same story? Or do you see it differently with all the things you've lived through in the meantime?
Yeah, quite different, to be honest. It was a film about identity for me, but sometimes, I mean, at that time, passenger means a kind of traveler for me, you know. He was traveling around, and especially the girl was traveling. So I got the message that, yeah, this is a film about the travelers. But now, passenger means another meaning for me, so it's a kind of passage to another identity. So each time I saw the film after my 18 years old, I found out new messages in it. So it's so sophisticated, a kind of philosophical film, that each time you watch it, you can find new messages and new sophistication in it.
What's the message now?
Now I feel like a passenger. So, to be honest, I found myself. I mean, last year it was really hard time for me, and so the message is no escape from your past. So, I mean, it's a kind of pessimist message, I guess, and he died in the same bed with the other guy. So, a similar final, and he couldn't escape from himself in a way. And his wife was there, new girlfriend was there. It was a kind of the whole summary of his life.
Or fatalistic.
Yeah, he was trying to escape from his past, but he couldn't manage to.
But this is a story about a man who tries to get away from his profession as a reporter.
Same time.
Which is not really what you did or wanted
to
do.
No, that's not true. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was trying to get rid of all the profession, family, wife. So I'm not that type. I'm, on the contrary, I'm trying to follow my past in a way. But there are many similarities. Like wherever you go, you are in the same. Atmosphere, so you're surrounded by it. And even if I have a new passport now, I changed my picture on it. But I'm in the same family, I'm in the same atmosphere that I've been living. So this is a kind of thing. And another thing, I just realized that there were someone smuggling arms, which was my story, So, yeah. So this time I realized this detail. I never thought about it, but all of a sudden I found myself in a story with the armed struggles, smugglers. This was another thing. I mean, after so many years, I found another detail in the film that really considers myself.
It's also a film about power and counterpower. Since you've challenged Erdogan, do you feel the weight of this profession, being a reporter, stronger than before?
Yes, because I feel the fear in his eyes. So, and I like it. So that means that you have the power to scare him, and because he was doing an international crime, and we got him. And since then, he's been trying to punish us, but at the same time, he's escaping from a punishment. And so far, he's been doing good because I'm here, but the war hasn't over yet. So we'll see in the end what will happen.
You're saying us. that means you're not alone. You feel as a part of a group, of a family, whereas this man is totally alone. It's more an existentialistic kind of life.
Exactly, I don't feel that alone, you know. So we have friends, and too many journalists are, you know, struggling at the moment, and half of our country is suffering and at the same time struggling. And many friends, even here in Germany, trying to save the country. And we have a film director here from Turkey. He's a very famous film director, and we watched the film together. So we are trying to do something. He's preparing a film, and I'm doing documentaries, writing articles. So we are really doing something, and that's why we feel in a family, not only from the Turks, but the Germans too. I mean, many people believe in democracy, human rights, freedom. So we have many supporters even here. So I'm in a part of the family.
When you saw this film in the 80s or late 70s, what was it like? The military coup had just taken place and Turkey was a different country. In one of your speeches you wrote that the Turkish left suffered a blow from this coup that it never recovered from. Did you feel this in the 80s, or did you more look forward to like a different kind of Europe, a different kind of Turkey that you could adhere to?
Those were the sad years, really. So disappointing, because during the 70s we were in a fight. So all of a sudden this military intervention has happened, and then it's, you know, it's start a new life, and a kind of reborn of the country. And many people supported the military coup. So it was another disappointment for us. But you remember the last part, the blind man story. It's really amazing story he was telling. The man was blind, so he was in a kind of dream, and he was dreaming a world. And when he got the sight, all of a sudden he faced with the reality, and the reality was not comparable to the dream. So he couldn't stand it, and he died in 3 years. So it's such a sad story, but we witnessed this, you know. We witnessed in Turkey that many people, you know, died in torture or killed themselves because they couldn't suffer the reality, because they thought that the people were struggling for democracy, and all of a sudden they saw that 90% of the people supported the army. And it's more or less the same here. I mean, nowadays, it's so disappointing to see people defending, supporting, believing a dictator.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we were blind, or the reality was, yeah.
We in Europe were blind. We didn't see it coming because it came so slowly.
Yeah.
Erdogan didn't seem to be a dictator until recently.
It's not only Erdogan. What about your fascists?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know, so Erdogan is not the only example, unfortunately, nowadays. What about Trump? I mean, was the Americans blind? Yeah, so, you know, it's coming. It's still coming, and we are still witnessing this. And that's why I can't compare whether we are in a dream or the world was, you know, not that bad at one time, and now we are entering a new era.
Antonioni was a Marxist, even a Maoist. 2 years before The Passenger, he made a film about China, which was very sympathetic for Chinese communism. We wouldn't agree with that maybe now. Still, this is not a political film. No. It shows 3 European countries in a way that you would say is rather touristical. Did you dream of Europe when you saw this? Did you have a vision of what you wanted to see, what you wanted to discover?
Yeah, it's not a political film, but it's a philosophical film, and he's portraying someone who is escaping from his past and trying to become a new identity, you know, with a mask. But I guess it's a kind of alienation, and he's stressing its complexity. Yeah. So yeah, after many years, as you said, yeah, he became another kind of director. But this period of time after Blow Up, really, this was really something important. And the last scene, you know, this camera move, it was really amazing, and to show that he's got a lot of message in it, and you heard a kind of gunshot, but he didn't, you know, show it. So you can just imagine what's going on behind the camera. If you compare the cinema today, I mean, you can see hundreds of people on the camera dying. So it's so naive in a way, and so philosophical that, you know, he passed all the window and come back again, like summarizing a life of him, and all the characters in his life were there, and his wife didn't want to mention his name. But the girl, it's interesting, another detail I just realized here, she doesn't have a name in the film. So someone nameless, new in his life. So we never know what's the name of the Maria character. So yeah, you discover many details whenever, each time you watch it. You know.
There is a scene about a man actually being shot in the film, which is apparently found footage or secretly taken footage, real footage, which I don't think would be possible today in a fiction film.
No.
And this is really very shocking. What did you think when you saw this now?
Was it real?
I suppose so.
No, I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like real. But I found more real the interview with the dictator. So it was so familiar to me, the interview. He was talking about the human rights and the guerrillas, terrorists, etc. So we know all this, you know, language, so familiar to us. And as a journalist interviewing someone, getting the same answers after so many years, from Africa to Middle East, it's shameful. You know, still we are in the same era. But I'm not sure whether it's a real footage or not, really. I don't know.
I think I've read that it's real.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
It's put into the film, but not taken by Antonioni.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Let's switch to Turkish cinema. Do you think that Turkish cinema will suffer from Erdogan's regime? Has it already suffered?
Yeah, in a way, those kind of years, if your country is under so many pressure, so it's a kind of chance for the creators as well, you know. So, the very famous Turkish director Yılmaz Güney produced his films
in France.
In France, but before then in jail. Mm-hmm. So he was writing scripts and checking the films in jail. So it's at the same time, the pressure brings the creativity at the same time. So I guess very new directors, very important new directors are coming in those years. Look at Iranian cinema, you know, under this pressure, they produce a lot of very good films and very talented directors. So I guess it's time for Turkey, and you will see many new directors in the coming years.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe we should open the discussion to the public. Are there any questions here in the audience?
Heavy film. I know, yeah.
Well, then, let's talk about Turkey some more. When I heard you talking about seeing the film a couple of years ago, or a couple of decades ago, I thought about the nostalgia that a poet like Orhan Pamuk has for the Istanbul of the 1980s, 1970s, where everything was still open, where the country wasn't on the road to what it is now. Yeah. Do you feel the same nostalgia? Was there an openness to Western values, Western art, Western ways of thinking that is now vanishing?
Of course, yeah. From the first years of the Republic, this country were heading towards, west and instead of east. And the main idea of the Republic to make Turkey a Western country, a democratic republic within the European family. But unfortunately, we couldn't manage to get into the family for 60 years. And we waited in front of the European door too much. And Europe was right not to accept Turkey in a way, maybe, because of too many reasons. And Turkey was not that enthusiastic, maybe, the governments, to get into the European family. But in the end, people really gave up waiting, and they lost their trust to Western countries first, then Western ideals, unfortunately, like secularism, democracy, human rights. So it's last couple of decades, really, it's diminishing, unfortunately. Yeah, we are responsible of this, but Europe has a responsibility on that too, because pushing Turkey out meant make a Middle Eastern country instead of a European one. Mm-hmm. So there was a kind of tug of war in Turkey within the modernist and conservative Turkey. And unfortunately, when we lost the chance to be a part in European family, it's just turned around, and the people lost belief in Western countries and values. And now we are partners with Russia and Iran, and we are in the conflict of Syria. So all of a sudden we found ourselves as a Middle Eastern country, which is a kind of disappointment, of course.
We talked about Turkish cinema and Turkish authors. There's so many modern art in Turkey. There is a democratic middle class, but was it not strong enough to hold up between the mild Islamism of the AKP and the Kemalism, which was mostly supported by the military?
Unfortunately, it's because of we were not organized well, and in my lifetime I saw 3 military interventions. So each military intervention brought torture, death penalties, and arrestment of masses. And this country cut their left hand. So the best poet of this country died in Soviet Union, Nazım Hikmet. Best film director of this country died in Paris, Yılmaz Güney. So best musician of this country died in Paris, Ahmet Kaya. So unfortunately we lost them. So it's kind of, they cut our roots, and without the roots, how can you produce fruits? So that's the main reason, unfortunately. In 60 years, we had nothing but military interventions. And after that, unfortunately, the conservatives and the right tendencies were getting stronger. And Erdogan is a production of those years, unfortunately.
What can be done? It seems that the only logical thing that we can do is to support people like you. But still, on a government basis, you have to deal with Erdogan. It seems that Turkey is kind of the lock that keeps the masses of poor immigrants out of Europe. So he seems to have a functional value for most of the governments, which is not a very good basis for putting pressure on him for liberalization.
By the way, when you say luck, I remember that his name is David Luck, and this time really, I just think of if he's referring to the famous Locke, you know,
John Locke?
John Locke, because yeah, I should read him again. So this time, because it shouldn't be a coincidence to choose this name, and I guess Locke has some articles on identity. So I guess he was referring to someone. Anyway, so sorry. Yeah, I mean, this, unfortunately, this refugee crisis made Erdogan so stronger than ever. Because with the refugee deal, now we have more than 3 million refugees in Turkey. And he blackmailed the Europeans that he can open the doors to refugees, and you can be faced with a bigger refugee crisis. And you were so afraid of the refugees that nobody wants to scare Erdogan, and that's why he didn't get any reaction from the European side. On the contrary, a kind on So Europe kept a blind eye on what's going in Turkey. So we don't ask anything, but just not support him enough, So unfortunately, until the last year, even the German government was so supportive, and they didn't mention anything about democracy and human rights issues in Turkey till he arrested someone with German passport, unfortunately. So we had a lot of journalists in jail without German passport, but it shouldn't be, it should have been important for you as well. But it was too late when German government decided to react, and after Erdogan said, you are Nazis, etc. So we should forget about Erdogan. So because we need a kind of new relation between our countries, because you are constructing everything on Erdogan and you're just reacting Erdogan, and it makes him much more stronger. But there's another Turkey in Turkey struggling against him and trying to build up a new democratic country, and they are at least half of the people. So we need a new kind of relation, not the governmental level, but in local levels, on local level, in municipalities, between artists, in the academics, in media, trade unions, political parties, a new kind of civil initiative that we can invest for the future of this country. Because fighting with Erdogan doesn't bring anything, unfortunately. It makes him a bit stronger, that's all. But if you want to do something, let's do films together. Let's make documentaries together. Let's open the universities to the academics in Turkey. Let's open pages in your papers. Send journalists to watch the cases here in Turkey. That kind of things. Let's make twin cities between Berlin and Diyarbakir. And then you can understand the people's struggle, and then you can support them. Otherwise, fighting with Erdogan, unfortunately, doesn't mean anything to us. We can do it, yeah, so.
Mentioning papers gives me the word. In one of your columns for Die Zeit, you quote a Turkish saying, man is at home where he eats his meals. Let me finish this discussion with a personal question. Are you at home now in Berlin? Do you feel at home in Germany? Is there anything that you kind of adapted to?
Yeah, it was not difficult for me to adapt Berlin, and I had many friends here, and they made me, comfortable in this city, and so every news bulletin starts with Erdogan, so I feel very at home, and so every newspaper full of his pictures, so wow, I feel at home. But on the other hand, yeah, this is the country that built up democratic principles and freedom. So that's why I can breathe freedom here, and I do journalism. So Thomas Mann, I guess, said, Germany is where I am. This is very important, you know. It's not something exaggerating yourself. It means that wherever I am writing, wherever I am talking about my country, so I am representing my country and I'm defending my country. So I believe in that. And I guess, yeah, Turkey is where I am. So I love this country. I'm trying to survive my country. And even here, I feel like Turk and I feel like living in Turkey. So that's why we will win this game. And in the end, we will have a free and democratic country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.